Oh lordy, today's a good one. Today we got the Daredevil Omnibus by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson. This is the reprint, the long-awaited reprint. It has an 840-page count and the cover price of $100. Let's go ahead and get into this omnibus review. Alrighty, so here we go, the third printing. You got the direct market variant cover here with artwork from Frank Miller, Daredevil 181 issue on the cover, man. Daredevil by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson on the spine there. And it does have the Marvel Omnibus logo at the bottom, unfortunately. They did not change that. A hero redefined, and boy, did they ever, man. So on the inside of the dust jacket, the left-hand side, a synopsis of this Frank Miller run. And on the right-hand side, a little bit about the creators. You get this great cover here with Daredevil leaping right at you, and on the spine, similar to what it was on the dust jacket there, Marvel Omnibus logo on the bottom. And then you got the Daredevil and Elektra there on the back of the book. Looking amazing, man. Always been a huge fan of Frank Miller's artwork. And there's some Elektra there. Just taking a quick look at the binding. It's sewn binding, of course. You got the red ribbon. Great binding on this book. This is a very well-made book. It's from the iMac printer, I believe. You do get a little bit of the see-through on the pages, which it's no big deal for me, honestly. It saves some room on the shelf, which I'm happy about. You got the forward there from the previous omnibuses, this big title page of Daredevil. Then you get the writers and all the creators listed on the left-hand side here, and the table of contents on the right-hand side. You get an introduction that was in the trade paperbacks from Frank Miller and Klaus Janson. So this omnibus is going to start out with issue 158 of Daredevil by Roger McKenzie. There's a bunch of different writers on this book. It's mainly Frank Miller, but you do get David Michelini and Mike W. Barr. Then for like pencilers and such, you have Frank Miller and Klaus Janson on here. Klaus Janson is an inker as well. Joe Rubenstein for inking, Terry Austin, and then like letterers, you have Joe Rosen, Jim Novak. Bunch of different people working on this omnibus, so you're not going to get the Frank Miller stuff immediately right off the bat. You are going to get different writers and such on this for the first little bit of this omnibus, but then it does turn into just a straight up Frank Miller extravaganza soon after that. So you have Frank Miller picking up the writing on Daredevil issue 165. Before that, you have Roger McKenzie 158 through 161 writing, and then you have Frank Miller on the pencils and such throughout those issues there in the beginning of this omnibus. Now at this time, like, Daredevil was kind of on a spiral, man. Nobody was reading Daredevil, nobody was digging it. It was kind of about to be canceled, honestly, because it was just not a great book. People weren't into the character of Matt Murdock and Daredevil and all that. So Frank Miller stepping in really kind of just amped it up a bit, and it really took it to this next level, other place. And I mean, it's a legendary run. When you hear people talk about comic books, they always talk about the Frank Miller Daredevil run. I know when I first started getting into the omnibus collecting and things like that, one of the first things was, oh, do you have the Daredevil omnibus? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm waiting for the reprint. So it's like one of those books that is just renowned as one of the greatest runs of all time. It took the character of Matt Murdock and kind of took him into this more grittier, more fleshed out character that is has evolved into what we know today. I mean, it's been used in like the Bendis run, it's been used in the Brubaker run. The influences from this right here are definitely seen throughout those pages of those books. Really just phenomenal stuff, man. I will say, like, the Frank Miller artwork, his fight scenes throughout these books are just super badass, man. And nobody does like fight panels like Frank Miller. Always was a fan of that, and like the Wolverine stuff and like the Dark Knight. His just artwork is just absolutely incredible, man. And the storytelling, man, he really just builds throughout this. It's just this new Daredevil. Like the ones before, I've tried to read the older Daredevil content, and man, it's so tough to get through. I mean, you're there because it's kind of like historical. It's got that like nostalgia factor, but it's really tough to get through. But when you get to the Frank Miller stuff right here, like, this is one of the most enjoyable reads I'd had in a long time. Really just legendary. All the Daredevil stuff that I've read recently has been phenomenal, man. Like the Brubaker and the Bendis, and now this Frank Miller material, man. Just really, really great stuff. I was never a fan of Daredevil, but now I'm definitely a huge fan of the character of Matt Murdock. You're going to get so many different iconic characters that pop up throughout this omnibus as well. You're going to get a battle between Daredevil and the Hulk. Of course, you get the battles with Bullseye and Daredevil as well. Frank Miller definitely expanded on the character of Bullseye throughout these issues as well. He made him kind of more of a deadlier character, more believable, more of a great villain. He did the same thing with Kingpin. Kingpin appeared in Spider-Man, and he wasn't all that much of a menacing character, but throughout these Daredevil issues, man, I mean, he is the the Kingpin of Hell's Kitchen. He's big, he's brooding, he's a big, scary character, and there's so many sick fight scenes with Matt Murdock and the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, throughout this that are just phenomenal, man. He introduces the Hand throughout these pages, which play a huge role throughout like the Daredevil history and lead into other titles as well, like Wolverine. You have the introduction of Elektra throughout here, which is just phenomenal stuff. You get a lot of stuff going on between Daredevil and Elektra as we lead into the next issue here. The Death of Elektra, man, which is a crazy, crazy cover, iconic cover, just iconic story, really, really beautifully done, and fantastic artwork, man, throughout all of this. Who else is in this book? Stick. You have the introduction of Stick. So he trained Matt Murdock when he was younger. You have that included in this story. It fleshed out so much stuff that just recently nobody was doing with Daredevil. He was just really, really on a downward spiral and about to be canceled. And Frank Miller just took this and just made it absolutely iconic. And it really is just like one of the best comic runs of all time. Daredevil 184 issue here with the No More Mr. Nice Guy. Love that cover. So iconic. Just the Matt Murdock with the giant revolver on the cover. Just great stuff. Frank Miller's artwork is just so fantastic. I've always been a huge fan of his. I think I first led into him on Sin City was one of the first things I saw of his, and became a huge fan of that series, and loved the Dark Knight stuff. I mean, just incredible artwork. The Black Widow here with the red. Man, such good stuff. It's just crazy too that we got so much material after that. This was about to be shut down, and then he really brought Daredevil as a character back to life. We have all these different runs with different great writers and artists on them now. We had the Netflix show, which was really, really good, man. Was a huge fan of the Netflix show. And, I always love hearing the story of a series about to be canceled because it's not doing well, and then somebody comes on and just completely brings it back to life. I mean, the similar story with the X-Men. The X-Men, when it first started, man, was not going well, and it was about to die. But then Chris Claremont came on and brought the X-Men back to life. It's great to see that Frank Miller came on this dying Daredevil run and brought Daredevil back to life, which is just sick, man. I mean... And look where we're at now. So much great Daredevil content. So really, really great stuff, man. Love this omnibus. I get all my books from Organic Price Books, the best place to get your omnibus and other collected editions. Super fast shipping, bulletproof packaging, and amazing customer service. Use promo code DROCK to get $2 off your purchase at organicpricebooks.com. If you use code DROCK, ship it together. On 3 or more books, you can get 5% off your order. So join the OPB family today. Link is in the description. So in the back of the omnibus here, you'll get a bunch of different stuff collected in the extra section here. Different panels and such, and sketches, some color work. Great Elektra there, just looking really, really awesome, man. Some more Elektra stuff here. Man, the Black Widow, the Kingpin. Love the way that they look, man, too. He did a great styles on these different characters. Bullseye is back. Daredevil, man. These magazine covers. Bunch of decent stuff collected in the back here. The Daredevil there. I'm a huge fan of that artwork there with the Daredevil and Elektra on the left-hand side, man. Amazing omnibus, man. One that everybody needs in their collection for sure. Let me know what you think about this omnibus down in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.